Anderson, 7 pinch hits for the Mets, Beltran and Chavez in right field, right Reyes, Easley, and Delgado, and Brian Schneider, of course, with that big hit last night.
We now move ahead in the inning.
Oliver with the John Travolta kind of 1970s look, just missing the gold chain.
I think the undershirt ruins the attack. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. And Howard swings and misses at the slider, and Perez has a big strikeout. 2 down.
Well, Ryan, you got to shake your head because this is the best slider he threw all day. Late break, perfectly on the outside corner. Nothing you can do with that pitch.
So now 2 away, and Perez with a chance to get through this inning, but first he must negotiate Pat Burrell. Burrell with 41 career home runs against the Mets, but none in his last 11 games against the Mets. He has 4 career home runs against Oliver Perez. And Burrell pulls one foul.
You know, we've seen before, you talked about that streak where he struggled home run wise against the Mets lately, that he was very patient against the Met pitching early in the season. The last couple of games we see him swinging at that first pitch more.
And Burrell has become a much more patient hitter in general. In fact, he's 2nd in the National League in walks this year. Situation where Perez can afford to tease with him, but he goes right to the outside corner with the fastball and gets ahead on Burrell 0-2. I think that was the last thing Powell was expecting.
Well, Burrell did not like that call. Ball's about waist high. Might have been outside, but good pitch for Oliver to get.
Now ahead on Burrell 0-2. Popped up. Could be playable. Delgado moving over. Right near the dugout railing. He's got it to end the inning, and Burrell slams his bat away in disgust. Oliver Perez works out of a big-time jam. We go to the 2nd. No score.
Action continues in the top of the 2nd.
3-1 to Marlin with 1 out and 1 on. And he takes ball 4. And the Mets have 2 runners aboard against Kendrick. First walk given up by Kyle Kendrick.
We now move ahead in the inning.
2 with Ramon Castro getting more of a role because Castro's bat obviously is a potent one, and the feeling was that the Mets offense needed that kind of boost, and Castro had a few big hits along the way. And you know, Schneider didn't come here to be anybody's backup or to split playing time, so I think it knocked him on his heels a little bit, but he stayed ready, and getting the at bat last night took advantage of it. And Schneider lines a base hit to center field, easily to third. He's being stopped by Luis Aguayo. A late stop sign. Howard thought about throwing behind him, but Easley scrambles back. Aguayo was waving easily till he got to third and then slammed on the brakes almost too late.
I think the thing that changed is Damien got a good jump. Victorino plays such a shallow center field. I think that Aguayo was waving him, and the fact that if Victorino did not pick that up clean, he was going to allow him to score. But this almost became dangerous because it got him right past the point almost of no return, scampering back as easily.
And I think if Howard had a little more confidence in his arm after he cut that ball off, he would have thrown behind him and might have had a chance.
And we saw last night that's happened a couple times against the Mets. Ryan Howard playing catch with Pat Burrell on when they come into those kind of circumstances. So you're right.
So now the base is loaded for Oliver Perez. 4 hits, 3 RBIs this year. And Oliver flares one to the left side, and Phillies grabs it. He should have let that ball drop because Oliver never ran.
Yeah.
Did they signal infield fly rule? I didn't even see if they did because that ball wasn't hit very high.
It wasn't hit high enough.
But as a hitter, you can't just stand there and watch it. You've got to run, because if they don't call infield fly rule, that's an easy double play.
Yeah.
I did not see whether the umpire signaled. They signaled late. Third base umpire signaled almost as Feliz was about to catch the ball, which is not proper.
That's Dan Iasania. I honestly don't think that could be shouldn't be an infield fly because of the height of the ball. Happened too quickly.
So 2 out, base is still loaded. Here's Jose Reyes, who grounded to second his first time up. And he takes a fastball from Kendrick for a strike.
Well, the Phillies in the first couple of games have had all the 2-out hits. And it'll be interesting to see if the Mets can come up with that kind of formula here on this third game.
Mets were able to pick up the 2-out hits in the 8th inning last night, but otherwise it's been rough. Reyes pops it up, and Victorino over in left center is there waiting for it. And so the Mets strand 3 in the top of the second. 2 hits and a walk, but Perez will go back to the mound. Still no score.
It's now the top of the third.
Be interesting to see if he takes a swing at this. We were talking about how patient Carlos has been.
I'd like to see him jump one here, and he pops it up into foul ground for Howard. Near the railing, can't get to it. But you want your cleanup hitter with 2 out and nobody on in a 3-1 count to be aggressive.
And Kendrick came back with a slider on that 3-1 pitch. Just got Carlos out in front. Be interesting if he tries to double up. Looks like Kendrick, when he gets with 2 strikes to left-handers, tries to come in with that fastball, surprise him inside. Let's see if he does it here.
Ripped to deep right field. Back goes Worth, looking up, and it's out of here. Carlos Beltran with a line drive home run, his 13th home run of the year, his first hit of the series, and it gives the Mets a 1-0 lead.
Well, there's hits by some of your players that inspire the team, and there's other hits where you go, maybe this is the time that he gets on track. And you know, he hits home runs, but Carlos Beltran is a line drive hitter. So when you see him on top of the ball like that, you know you're in good shape. And you see Hojo saying, I told you, Jerry. I told you we had him coming. I told you he was close. And but this little pitch, we've seen it many times before. When he gets that pitch there, that is his happy area. And he did not miss it.
Here's the 2-0. And Perez misses 3-0 to Worth. So after being handed the 1-0 lead, Oliver falls behind the leadoff hitter in the very next half inning, with Utley, Rollins, and Howard behind Worth. And he walks him on 4 pitches. And for the 3rd straight inning, the Phillies have the leadoff man on. And so that has cost Perez a lot of pitches early in this game.
And his ball-strike ratio just almost upside down from what he had at the Yankees, where he was a strike machine.
So here's Utley, who popped out to David Wright his first time up. Thinks about a bunt and spins out of the way, and that pitch is a strike.
Yeah, that's the problem with Utley, is that he is right on the plate, and when the ball comes inside, he does not get out of the way. In fact, he almost moves into it sometimes. That way he's spinning away, but that ball caught a lot of the plate.
That's why he's been hit by 11 pitches this year, tied for the National League lead. And of course, Perez has hit 10 batters, and that's the most for any pitcher in the league. Off the plate, and it's 1-1 to Utley, who leads the National League in home runs by 1 over his teammate Ryan Howard.
You know, Utley, when he was a child, his father always says to the home run leaders that he would have been a great hitter, but he was lucky that he had tutelage from a former AL MVP, Jeff Burrows, who really helped him as a young hitter.
Leader on that Philadelphia team. And they've got the more vocal leader in Rollins and the young star in Howard, but Utley is a guy who very much is a leader by example. Drives this one to center field, chasing Beltran back, and Carlos runs it down. Made it look easy on a ball hit over his head. So 1 long out off the bat of Utley.
Now, watch our infielders now as Utley hits this ball to the deepest part of the park. Beltran gets it, easily goes out in case the ball goes over his head to be the relay. Reyes starting to inch towards second base. First baseman Delgado, of course, knew it. He had it in the bank. But, you know, I don't think there's any center fielder really who catches that ball in Beltran because of how deep he plays. He made that look easy.
Here's Jimmy Rollins, who had an infield hit his first time up off the leg of Oliver Perez. And Rollins takes it low, and Perez behind 2-0. Well, there are your National League East shortstops. Not pictured there is the National League leader in hits, Christian Guzman,
exactly,
of the Washington Nationals. And Hanley Ramirez having an extraordinary season and will probably be the starter on the All-Star team, but at least 2 and maybe 3 of those guys are going to get left off this year. Hit hard to short, might be 2. Reyes too easily, and on the first double play, side retired. 6-4-3 on the double play, and Perez gets a couple of needed quick outs. We head for the 4th, and the Mets still with a 1-0 lead. 2-2 to Anderson. He taps it past the mound for Rollins. And that's the first half. But you know what I mean? When you see your baseball mortality, sometimes that can be a real kick in the pants for you.
Yeah, and he always had great talent. And I think what happens for a few people, you have initial great success. You kind of take it for granted. And I'm not saying Fernando did that because I don't know him well enough to say that. But it happens to players. And then the next thing you know, you run out of dodge. So you have to regroup and you have to look in the mirror. And I think Fernando has done that.
There's Brian Schneider, who singled to center his first time up. And, you know, he volunteered to be the third-string catcher. And the way that Jerry Manuel has shown his willingness to bat for his catcher, which he did each of the last 2 nights, you have to figure at some point Fernando may get a crack at it.
Well, you know, Jerry has his meeting about 3 hours before the game with reporters, and I honestly never ask a question. I leave it up to the pros to do it. But I asked him today about the catching situation because I didn't want to be caught up here and not know who the third-string catcher was going to be. And I assumed that it might have been Delgado. Thank God I asked, because he let us know that Tatis, who was originally signed as a catcher, will go back there. And he said, you know, he was talking about his skills as a catcher. He said, well, I think he can catch it. I think that's where his skills lie.
Schneider walks on 4 pitches.
You know, and Ronnie, just talking to him today, you know, he said the last time he caught was in the minor leagues, not with New Orleans, but he's confident. It's not like this is something that, you know, it's just he volunteered to do and hopes it never happens. He said, look, I'm totally fine catching. So you didn't get the feeling, I mean, obviously that's not the scenario the Mets want, but talking to him, you don't get the feeling that he's apprehensive about it at all.
Unlike Delgado, because when this subject came up either last year or the year before, Delgado was asked about, you know, whether he'd be willing to go back there for a game, and said, gentlemen, I've been there. I'm not going back.
We see the light.
Schneider at first with 1 out. Mets with a 1-0 lead in the 4th. Perez, who popped up with the bases loaded his first time up, looking to advance him, but he takes a strike, and it's 1-1.
It reminds me a little bit of Clint Hurdle, the manager for the Colorado Rockies, who went down to AAA, learned how to play third base. Then he took up the tools of ignorance, learned how to catch, and it got him a couple more years with the Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals in the big leagues.
Oliver gets the bunt down. Nicely done. Ruiz has to go to first. 2-4 on the sacrifice, moving Schneider to second. Well, Perez picks up his 6th sacrifice of the year. And a runner in scoring position for Jose Reyes. Reyes is grounded out and flied out today, 0 for 2. 2 for 10 in this series. And he lines it the other way for a base hit. Schneider to third. He'll have to be held there as it gets to Burrell on 1 hop. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 down. So Reyes picks up his 107th hit of the year. We mentioned Christian Guzman leads the league in hits. He has 118 coming into today.
Oh, that's nice swing. A little breaking ball away. We've always said it. If you try to pull that breaking ball, it's a 4-3. Brian Schneider, of course, is not going to score in that. Breaking ball away, go that way with it. Slices it into left field. Nice hitting. Head right on it. Can't get a better swing on a breaking ball away.
So the Mets have 6 hits on the afternoon, and now Andy Chavez, who had the first of them, singled back in the first inning. 1 for 2 on the day. And a fake to third. Kendrick thinking Reyes might go on first movement. Reyes' next steal will be his 30th of the season. There goes Reyes. Ruiz makes the throw, not nearly in time. Reyes got a huge jump and steals his 30th of the year.
You know, usually as a catcher, you have to look down at third and make sure the runner's not going. But this one's straight to second base by Ruiz because you know that there will not be a double steal on. With a slow-footed Schneider on third.
I would have loved to have seen it.
It'd still be going on, by the way.
So 2 in scoring position for Chavez. And Andy hits it right back to Kendrick. Makes the underhand toss to end the inning. So the Mets strand 2. They've now left 7 on base in the first 4 innings. To the bottom of the 4th we go, still 1-0 New York. He struck out Howard with 2 in scoring position in the first. And a swing and a miss at the fastball. Foul tipped it into Schneider's glove. 0-1.
Forward and now back.
That pitching line looks great. It's been a little harder than that, though. And again, a foul tip on the fastball, and it's 0-2 to Howard.
Oh, you guys at home, you got to check this motion out. And the pitch here right by Ryan Howard. Throwing it by him. Oliver Perez just has a little bit of that old style. It's not quite Paul Berg from Cleveland, but the little lean forward, the arms back. There you go. Generating some power.
All he needs is to swing his arms behind him as he does that little dip and step back.
It's beautiful to watch. Lean forward, arms back, sit, and drive. A whirling dervish of emotion.
But within the door frame. Struck him out. He gets Howard with a slider. That's 121 times Ryan Howard has struck out this year.
Well, you got to try to get ahead. He throws the first pitch by him. Second one beautifully placed on the outside corner. This one's by him too. So what does he do? Pull the string just a little bit. Perfect placement. Perfect tilt to that slider. And Ryan Howard's got to be shaking his head.
Third strikeout for Perez as he gets the leadoff hitter for the first time today. Well, it's something that Ryan Howard has become quite accustomed to. As Burrell breaks his bat and lines one over Reyes' head for a base hit. Only the second Philly hit of the day, and Burrell lost a bat in the process. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule, brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. Mets playing a wraparound series here in Philly. That means Sunday into Monday night. Pedro Martinez makes the final start of the series tomorrow night against Adam Eaton. Then the Mets go home to play the Giants and their fine young starting pitching. And then 3 with the Rockies heading to the All-Star break. And an unbelievable story out of Colorado and their latest injury. I mean, they already had lost Troy Tulowitzki for a couple of months because of a torn quad muscle. And now comes word that on Friday night, when Tulowitzki was double switched out of the game, he went down into the tunnel with his bat, slammed his bat on the concrete walkway. The bat splintered, cut the palm of his throwing hand, 16 stitches.
Wow.
And Tulowitzki's back on the disabled list.
The stories of ball players and their injuries could fill an entire book.
In the dirt, Schneider has a carom off his shin guard, and that'll move Burrell down to second with a tying run. Wild pitch charge to Perez, his 7th of the year.
Slider down in the dirt, and you see that Schneider went after it with the backhand early and then tried to flip over the glove, not in time, and wasn't able to get in front of it.
2-0 the count to Phillies, with Burl at second and 1 out. And a fastball knee high for a strike. By the way, it was a maple bat that Tulowitzki broke. Said they were dangerous.
16 stitches. Wow. That'll take a while, because in the palm, even when the stitches come out, it's really easy for it to reopen.
It's a terrible injury for a ball player.
Yeah, I had, when I broke my thumb in '87, I had a hard time that the stitches would, once they healed, they kept opening up all the time, and I'd end up pitching some games, and this is kind of gross, but it ended up blood on the ball sometimes because of the opening of the stitches.
2-2, struck him out. 4th strikeout for Oliver Perez, 2 away.
Well, you get ahead so you can elevate the ball, elevate it up out of the strike zone. Feliz is a free swinger. Once you get to 2 strikes, you do not have to throw him a strike. What is that little collar there? That tag is always coming out on his shirt.
I think it's a fashion statement.
You think?
Well, it must be, otherwise you just cut off the tag.
So it's haute couture for Oliver?
Or the opposite. Here's Victorino who takes the strike. Victorino fouled out to Reyes his first time up. I was thinking about you and that the blood on the baseball.
Yeah.
You know, another guy got blood on his sock, and the sock wound up in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well,
you should have somehow had it drained in a better area.
I don't know how to market myself as well as Kurt Schilling.
You could have been a hero. Fastball and a call strike, and Perez all of a sudden dealing and getting ahead 0-2. Carlos Ruiz on deck. Oliver still is not allowed to run against the Phillies this year. He's now gone 14 innings against them this season. 15 innings now. Oh-2 to Victorino, and he fouls away the fastball.
That's Oliver's recoil, and that's what it is. It's he would be fun to watch if you played him backwards, wouldn't it? I mean, just the different kind of moves that he has to generate that kind of torque to throw the ball 95 miles an hour.
Last guy I saw fall off the mound like that was Mitch Williams.
There you go, the Wild thing.
A fixture here in Philly. Pop foul. Delgado with a long way to go, and he makes the basket catch to end the inning. Wright is 0 for 2. He's grounded out and flied out. Now 1 for 10 in this series. And this is a little unusual for Kendrick because he's used to getting big-time run support. Phillies are averaging 6.5 runs per game in Kendrick's starts this year. It's the second highest average run support of any major league pitcher this season. Only the Rangers' Vicente Padilla has gotten more runs per game than Kendrick. But so far this afternoon, not against Oliver Perez. 1-1 to Wright. And he misses outside, 2-1.
My experience is that when you have those kind of first halves, enjoy it, because usually it turns around.
Payback?
Yes, in the second half.
And again, Kendrick finds himself behind 3-1, which he's been doing far too often for him today. Hasn't quite paid for it yet. He did against Beltran, and that's the only run of the game. And Wright drives a base hit into center field. So David taking advantage of the hitter's count, and the Mets have their 7th hit off Kyle Kendrick.
Well, he has to center this pitch. It's a sinker down and in. Doesn't quite get it down enough. Doesn't quite get it in enough.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on for the first time in the game, and now Beltran, who's responsible for the only run of this game with a scorcher of a home run, with 2 out of the 3rd inning, his 13th of the year. And we mentioned Wright last night stole a base for the first time since June the 1st. See if he gets a little frisky now. And Beltran takes a letter high strike.
That was just a line shot, line drive. Talked about Bill's ball last night, but that ball just stayed true. Hit so hard it didn't have a chance to come down.
Looks like a little lowered to the ground there, a little more in running mode.
Yeah. Well, I think that Jerry has talked to all of these individual players and said, hey, listen, I know you're cognizant of your stealing percentage and how you want to make sure that you can steal. I don't mind you running into some outs because it makes sure that we're being aggressive.
One and one to Beltran.
Well, if you're as good as David, you get to have your name on your shoe.
And spats. Like Babar. Fouled at the plate 1-2.
Well, David on day games always seems to have the stirrups up, pant leg up, and that little different look for the day game, but pretty fancy shoes. Little orange, little black, little white.
Are those available in stores? I mean, can you buy shoes like that?
Well, you can. Nike, I don't know if you know, in Nike, it doesn't matter. You can go online and you can make your own shoe with your own name.
Really?
Yes, you can design your own shoe.
Even if you're not David Wright?
Exactly. It helps to be right, though, because you can get it in the stores. You don't have to go through that whole process.
Hit to short. Rollins on the backhand gets the out at second. Utley's relay, though, not nearly in time. Nicely done by Rollins to get the force for the first out.
You know, there's outs, and then there's better outs. And what I'm saying there is that the pitch away, we've seen Beltran kind of roll that over to second base, but trying to shoot that ball the other way, just hit it right at Rollins.
So Beltran at first and one out, and here's Delgado, who hit one off Rollins' glove in a similar spot for an infield hit back in the third.
Kendrick's been pitching dangerously all day long, getting behind the hitters, just coming up with decent pitch every now and again to get him out of trouble.
23 hitters, only 7 first pitch strikes for Kendrick. And now he falls behind Delgado 2-0.
Yeah, you know, usually when you're in a 1-0 game, it's very crisp, well pitched. I think Oliver has really got it going, but it hasn't been that way for Kendrick so far, as he's really struggled, just has gotten out of, the bases loaded jam really was the key.
And Perez had his similar moment back in the first when he had 2 in scoring position. Delgado lunging, and it's 2-1. Well, Kyle Kendrick is only 23 years old, and you know, for a guy that young, he's shown quite a knack for putting his team in a position to win. He doesn't have the lowest ERA. He's not an overpowering pitcher, but look at his infinity pitching line. He's 18-7 in his career, and that counts for a lot. 2-1 to Delgado, and throw to first.
18-7 and 37 starts, and remember, a lot of those starts under the gun, under the heat of last year's pennant race after the All-Star break. So he was really a shot in the arm for them as they were struggling to find starters to go the distance. Brett Myers, they put in the bullpen. They're looking for anyone to get some outs, and he was fantastic.
Delgado hits one deep down the right field line. It's hooking, and it goes foul. Well, you remember last year the Phillies had a series against the Mets at midseason. They called up Kendrick and J.A. Happ to pitch against the Mets in that series. The Mets beat up Happ. Kendrick pitched very well and continued to pitch well the rest of that season. And, you know, you look at Phillies history, and they've been around, you know, since 1870-something. They've only had 4 other pitchers win 18 of their first 25 decisions as a starter in 125 years, 135 years. Taken inside, Steve Carlton, Jim Bunning, Jack Sanford. I mean, we're talking about big-time pitchers, and a guy back in 1890 named Tom Vickery. But you already knew that.
Yeah, of course. TV, good friend of mine.
Bunning, of course, pitched a perfect game against the Mets, 1964, part of his Hall of Fame career. 3-2, Beltran's running, and Delgado swings and misses. Ruiz with the throw not in time. So Delgado strikes out. Beltran steals his 13th base to put himself in scoring position.
Well, high slider that doesn't really break. And Carlos is left wondering, where was that break? Ruiz, of course, with a late throw. Nice play by Jimmy Rollins blocking it, but nice jump on a 3-2 count. And that beautiful stride, of course. Teeth first slide.
How about this? This is the 3rd start Kendrick has made against the Mets. It's his first strikeout.
Wow.
Didn't strike out anybody in either of his starts against the Mets last year. And now he has his first as he gets Delgado. Here's Easley with a runner in scoring position. Damian's hit another 2 balls hard today. Single to left, lined out to center.
And that's almost impossible in the National League because you're facing the pitcher at some point.
One and 0 to Easley. There goes Beltran, and no throw by Ruiz, and Beltran walks into 3rd. So Beltran steals 2nd, steals 3rd. That's his 14th of the year.
Well, when they give it to you, you might as well take it. Utley at his position, Rollins playing the pull, Ruiz playing deep.
So that puts him in a position to score on a wild pitch or an infield hit or an error. 2-0 to Easley. And there's a strike, 2-1. I mean, normally you don't advocate stealing 3rd with 2 out, but again, as you said, if they're going to hand it to you, why not? Marlon Anderson waiting to hit next. Kendrick up to 84 pitches on the afternoon, working in the 5th inning. 2-1 to Easley. And he misses the inside corner and falls behind 3-1. Been a frequent occurrence for Kendrick this afternoon.
Yeah, he just cannot find that down and in pitch to the right-hander. He's got to center it more, and that's what he's going to do now. He had to do the same thing to David Wright. Ended up with a base hit to center field, easily looking for that same pitch.
With 2 left-hand hitters to follow. Ruiz sets up inside. 3-1, misses, ball 4. Easley's on, and Marlon Anderson will come up with runners at the corners. 3rd walk given up by Kendrick. So Anderson gets a crack. Marlon has walked and grounded out 0 for 1.
Boy, I'll tell you, hopefully Marlon gets a base hit here, but I'm going to be interesting to watch Jerry Manuel in these circumstances. If he ever gets a hitter behind in the count, if he were to take a chance with Easley on first, a little double steal, you have the perfect guy on 3rd base. Great base runner with great speed.
Anderson can't hold up the swing, 0-1. And he's checking with the home plate umpire Bill Hahn to ask whether it was a call strike or a swinging strike. Actually, I think it might have been both. Beltran at 3rd, Easley at 1st with 2 down. 1-0 New York. We're in the 5th. And Anderson takes inside and low, 1-1. Mets as a team hitting .251 with runners in scoring position for the season, and they've been just about that in this series. They took an offer in the first game of the series, but had a big day, especially late, with big hits in last night's game. And Kendrick misses inside to Anderson. 2-1. Clearly that's his game plan against the left-hand hitters, but he's not being successful at finding that corner.
He's throwing the pitch you throw with 2 strikes on the first 2 pitches. He's throwing that really dastardly pitch out of the strike zone, but he's getting behind.
Now it's 2-1 to Marlin. And now it's 3-1 with Schneider waiting on deck.
Well, we see Charlie Manuel, but I bet you Rich Doobie's getting up also. Pitching coach for the Phils.
Big pitch here. With runners at the corners and 2 down. 3-1 to Marlin Anderson, and Marlin steps out. Marlin has spent 3 years as the starting second baseman for the Phillies at the beginning of his career. He hit his first major league home run against the Mets as a Philly. 3-1, grounded to second base. So Kendrick makes the pitch he needs to, gets Anderson to ground out, and the Mets are turned aside in the top of the 5th. And he lines one to center field, and that'll fall for a base hit. So Ruiz has the Phillies' 3rd hit of the game. And for the 4th time in 5 innings, the Phillies have the leadoff man on.
Well, just fastball down the middle. Good job of hitting by Ruiz now with that paltry average. 2 good at-bats. Robbed by Chavez and base it up the middle.
So Kendrick will come up looking to bunt. He struck out his first time up, has 4 sacrifices on the year. In the voting by the fans in the National League, 3 Chicago Cubs win starting jobs. The rookie catcher Giovanni Soto, that's a novelty in and of itself, a rookie catcher being voted into the game, along with Alfonso Soriano and Kosuke Fukudome. The rest of the starters, Lance Berkman of the Astros at first base, Chase Utley of the Phillies at second, Hanley Ramirez of the Marlins at short, and Chipper Jones of the Braves at third, and Ryan Braun, last year's National League Rookie of the Year, was voted. In fact, he got more votes than any outfielder in the National League.
That's the look. I'm looking at this list now. The Brewers fans and the Cub fans voted in spades. Prince Fielder finishing 2nd at first base. Ricky Weeks finishing 3rd at second base. 3rd base, Billy Hall's had a horrible year. Is in 4th place, just behind David Wright by margin of votes.
And of course, that's always the risk you run in fan balloting, is that you do get ballot stuffing at times. The closest any Met came to starting is Kendrick fouls off the bunt attempt, and he is struck out. That's 5 strikeouts now for Perez, and that's the first out. Closest any Met came was David Wright, who finished 3rd in the voting at 3rd base, but a very distant 3rd behind Chipper Jones and Aramis Ramirez.
2 million votes behind. Well, you see Snyder calling for that pitch up in the strike zone. Very hard to get on top of that. Nice job by Brian. Good execution by Oliver Perez.
So 1 out and 1 on. Jason Worth, the batter. Worth has been up twice and walked both times. So David will not be going to the All-Star game this year. Unless he is voted in as the final player. I haven't seen whether he's on that final player ballot. I don't think they've announced that yet. Well, here's the rest of the National League roster, just so everybody can get an idea who made it and who didn't. There were 2 other shortstops taken besides the starter Hanley Ramirez. They took Christian Guzman, who they had to take because he leads the league in hits, and he had to be the representative for the Nationals. And they also took Miguel Tejada, who's having a nice year for the Astros. It'll be his 5th All-Star game. And at 3rd base, in addition to the starter Chipper Jones, they took just 1. They took Aramis Ramirez of the Cubs. 1-1 to Worth, ripped deep but foul. And it's 1-2. And now I'm being told that David is on that list for the final ballot. And here are the other names on that list. Well, let me give you the rest of the team first. Other than Lance Berkman, the other first baseman they took, Adrian Gonzalez of San Diego. That's the lone representative for the Padres. And Albert Pujols, of course. And at second base, in addition to the starter Chase Utley, they took, of course, Dan Uggla, who's having a terrific year for the Marlins. 1-2 to Worth, with Ruiz at first and 1 out. Pulled foul just outside the bag. In the outfield, in addition to the starters, Soriano, Fukudome, and Braun, they took Matt Holliday from Colorado. Ryan Ludwig from St. Louis makes his first All-Star team, as does Nate McLeod, the lone representative for the Pirates. The pitchers on the National League staff, they took 12 pitchers. Aaron Cook, Ryan Dempster, Danny Herron, Tim Lincecum, Ben Sheets, Edison Volquez, Brandon Webb, Carlos Zambrano. Those are the starters. And they only took, am I seeing this right, 3 relievers. In addition to Wagner, they took Brad Lidge and Brian Wilson of the Giants.
And that's strange. Usually it's upside down. Usually it's only 2 or 3 starters, and you want all those relievers to go an inning at a time.
In tight. So that's a little change in philosophy, or maybe it's just that, you know, when they put their heads together, Clint Hurdle, who will manage the National League All-Star team, and the powers that be, they decided that there were more starting pitchers having good years, which is certainly the case. That's Brad Lidge, who, by the way, just agreed to a new 3-year extension with the Phillies today.
Yeah, he's got some other good news.
Yeah. All-Star team might have paled before the $39 million that they gave him today. Worth lifts one to right field. Chavez to the line. And in fair territory, he makes the catch for the second out. Ruiz back to first with 2 away. So those are the people who were voted in for the National League. The backup catchers as well. Russell Martin and Brian McCann. No surprise there. So the 5 on the final ballot will be David Wright, Pat Burrell, Corey Hart, Carlos Lee, and Aaron Rowan. So 4 outfielders and David on that final ballot for the National League. 2 away, Chase Utley the batter.
There's Pat the bat.
So Pat has a chance to make the All-Star team if he can beat out Wright and those others. Utley is popped to third, fly deep to center, 0 for 2. 1-0 New York. We're in the bottom of the 5th. And the breaking ball outside from Perez. Utley just 1 for 9 in this series. The American League starters, Joe Mauer, the catcher. Kevin Youkilis at first, Dustin Pedroia at second, Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez round out the infield. Josh Hamilton, Manny Ramirez, Ichiro Suzuki, the outfield, and David Ortiz, despite being hurt, is the DH. And Utley takes a strike, 1-1.
I find it very interesting. Only 2 connections to the best record in baseball, 2 Tampa Bay Rays on that American League All-Star roster.
Actually, Joe Madden said yesterday he thought they might only have 1.
Yeah.
Because they don't have guys having star seasons. They just have a team having a star season. Utley grounds it to Delgado. 1 big hop, and that'll do it for the Phillies in the bottom of the 5th. On the infield, we told you Kevin Youkilis, the starter, Justin Morneau, the backup at first base. 2-2 to Perez. Dustin Pedroia, the starter at second base. Ian Kinsler of Texas, the backup. Derek Jeter, the starter at shortstop. Michael Young, the backup. And they also list Carlos Guillen as an infielder. I guess because he's played both shortstop and first base this year. Or third base.
Carlos is an outfielder. I don't care if he played first base or not.
3-2, struck him out. And there's the second strikeout for Kyle Kendrick, 2 away. And at third base, Alex Rodriguez backed up by Joe Crede. We told you the starting outfield in the American League, Hamilton, Ramirez, and Suzuki. As you look at that last pitch out of the strike zone, swung at by Perez. The backups, J.D. Drew, Carlos Quentin, who's had such an incredible year, and Grady Sizemore. Is that right? Is that J.D. Drew's first All-Star selection?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, right?
That's amazing. Here's Reyes, is 1 for 3, and he takes ball 1. The DHs, we told you David Ortiz, Milton Bradley, the backup. The catchers, Joe Mauer, the starter, Dioner Navarro of Tampa Bay, and Jason Varitek, the backups. Reyes takes 2-0. And they went with a different philosophy with the pitchers in the American League. Only 3 relievers in the National League, 6 in the American League. To go with 6 starters: Justin Dukeshire, Roy Halladay, Scott Kazmir, Cliff Lee, Irvin Santana, and Joe Saunders. And the relievers: Joe Nathan, Jonathan Papelbon, Mariano Rivera, Francisco Rodriguez, George Sherrill, and Joaquin Soria. So that's your all-star rosters. And you can vote now for the extra player, right?
Busy. I'm doing the game here. I can't do it right now.
No, you can't, but the people at home.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right? I mean, the full court press is already on. Here's the 3-1 to Reyes. Bounced slowly and foul.
On the 85 All-Star game that I made, that ended up being the San Diego Padres All-Star game because they had so many. I mean, you know, Craig Nettles is the third baseman, Gary Templeton at shortstop. If I'm not starting, I'm not departing. They had Lamar Hoyt pitching, Tony Gwynn in the outfield. Terry Kennedy was the catcher. I mean, it was unbelievable. But the manager, Dick Williams, came to me before the game, me and Dwight, in fact, and said to us, boys, when I manage an all-star game, young guys don't pitch. So you guys just sit back and relax. And because unless this goes extra innings, you guys aren't going to be in ball game.
Wow.
And I remember I was so deflated. I mean, I couldn't wait to get in that game. And Dwight and I just looked at each other and said, well, I guess we're going to have fun in Minnesota.
And did either of you pitch?
Well, neither of us pitched. Neither of us sniffed an inning.
Reyes hits it hard over the bag. A base hit. Burrow goes to the foul ground and hits the jutting stands, and that allows Reyes to easily pull into second base with a double. Second hit of the day for Reyes, his 22nd double of the year.
Again, we talked about before on that slider going the other way. This fastball up and away, he just kind of drove it down that left field line. And, of course, running hard out of the box. Like to see that. Always thinking triple.
So the Mets with a 1-0 lead have a runner in scoring position with 2 out. Andy Chavez 1 for 3. Andy had 2 in scoring position in the 4th inning and hit a comebacker to Kendrick. Mets have had chances to add to their lead. They've got another one. And Andy takes a strike. Mets have already left 9 runners on base over the first 5 innings.
Just finish up that story in Minnesota. You know, I didn't have anyone to bring, so I brought my parents. My parents came, and they were so excited, but kind of, I don't know, awed by all the people that were there. Never pitched in the game, and I said, "Are you guys disappointed?" My dad said to me, he said, "A man should not pitch in a garage." Because the Minnesota game, that ballpark is like almost underground. So he made me feel better about not getting in the game.
Not exactly an all-star ballpark.
No. Regardless of the white hankies. You see the Philadelphia Phillies here have had a base stolen at third base after a spin move by the pitcher twice. Well, how do you counter that? Kyle Kendrick spin move twice instead of just once and go.
So is now the time for Reyes to run?
Yes. But he won't with 2 outs, hopefully.
0-1 to Chavez, and then he takes it wide. David Wright waiting on deck. Kendrick up to 108 pitches, so he may be reaching the end of his tether. And he takes the fastball on the corner. Good pitch by Kendrick. That's that pitch he's been trying to make all day.
Well, he has been, I don't know how it's a Harry Houdini high wire act for Kyle Kendrick. It's almost the same number of strikes as balls.
Now he's ahead on Chavez, 1-2. Ruiz stops that one in the dirt, 2-2. 23-year-old Kyle Kendrick finding a way to keep his team in the game. The only run of this game on a Carlos Beltran home run in the 3rd. foul. Two and two to Endy Chavez. With Reyes at second and 2 out, Endy grounds one down to first for Howard. And the Mets strand yet another base runner in scoring position. That's 10 left on base. Oliver's walked 2. He struck out 5. And Rollins lifts it to center field. Beltran right there waiting for it. And Rollins continues to struggle, now 1 for 11 in this series. So there's a big out for Perez to start the 6th. Only the second time in 6 innings he's retired the leadoff hitter. And now we'll take on Ryan Howard. Kyle Kendrick probably done after 6 innings. 6 rather remarkable innings when you come right down to it.
Well, I think that's the kind of pitcher he is. Until he gets the secondary pitchers better, he'll be in trouble. Clay Condrey up in the Philadelphia bullpen. He's the one that'll come in for the Phils as Howard comes to the plate. Kendrick's been like that, honestly, this entire career. He's just one of those kids that'll battle you, and as his secondary pitches get better, he'll be able to last longer in games.
Howard has struck out his first 2 at-bats, and he takes the slider off the plate for ball 1. He's now 1 for 18 in his career against Oliver Perez, and he has now struck out 121 times this year. That's the bad news for Howard. The good news is he leads the league in RBIs. And Perez falls behind him 2-0. That's what Howard's done in this series. He hit the 3-run homer off John May, and the only hit John gave up last night. Ripped to right field, and Chavez will have to play that on a hop. He had a notion about coming in and making a dive, but chose to play it safe, and rightly so, and Howard has the 4th Philadelphia hit.
Well, the only thing that discretion is better part of valid, because that ball might have went through Indy's chest. It was hit so hard.
Gets some topspin on the ball, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he really does.
So now Pat Burrell, who had a broken bat single his last time up, 1 for 2 on the day. And Delgado playing in front of Howard. Pop foul. It's an odd positioning for Delgado. He's not quite holding him on, but if he's not, why wouldn't you just play behind him?
I like him behind him. I think what you do is if you play behind him, it's Aaron Heilman getting loose. If you play behind him, what you can do is you play about 4 or 5 steps behind him, like back in here, and what you'll do is that as Howard takes his lead, come up, smack your glove a couple times, and then go back to your position, because there's no way Ryan's going to run. Right there just does not give you any.
So what's the point of that? That's where you play if you're expecting a bunt.
I don't like it. Go back there in case Burrell goes that way.
Burrell hits it in the air to deep center field. Back goes Beltran. He has it lined up, and he makes the catch for the 2nd out. Well, Burrell flies out to the deepest part of the ballpark. And Oliver has a 2nd out. Well, Aaron Heilman threw 1 pitch last night, so he's raring and ready to go today. Now Pedro Feliz. Feliz is 0 for 2, hit a fly ball that Marlon Anderson dropped for an error, and then he struck out in the 4th. 1-0 New York. We're in the bottom of the 6th. And a slider off the plate, 1-0.
Well, I think that this hitter right here is the dangerous hitter. You have Victorino up, who doesn't hit for power. Feliz, who when he is in a fastball situation just seems to turn it up just a little more.
Going outside, and Perez behind 2-0. Jane Victorino waiting on deck. And Delgado continuing to play in front of Ryan Howard. And that misses. And Oliver's behind 3-0. That's a slow curve from Oliver on 2-0.
I don't know what he's thinking there. Can you imagine, Bill Lee knows this, can you imagine getting beat with that slow curve on a 2-0 pitch? You wouldn't be able to look at yourself.
Swinging on 3-0. Phillies couldn't catch up with the fastball. 3-1.
Good spot. Fastball away. Stays true on that corner. Got to stay away from the middle to the inner part of the plate. That's what Phillies is looking for, that pitch from Perez.
Snyder moves away, and the fastball on the outside corner, and Perez gets it full of 3-2.
Again, this one just a shade lower on the knees, on the outside corner. You see the umpire, Bill Hahn, on that inside corner. Hard to see that pitch, but he called it.
So now Howard can run with 3-2 and 2 down. Perez has worked his way back from 3-0 against Phillies. Hit toward the gap in right center field. Cutting over is Chavez to run it down. And he got a great jump on that ball. And Phillies sees it die in the glove of Endy Chavez over in the gap in right center. 6 scoreless innings for Oliver Perez. 1-0. Wright is 1 for 3 this afternoon. Single to lead off the 5th. Mets have 8 hits today, but they've stranded 10 runners in the first 6 innings. Phillies have the best staff ERA of any bullpen in the National League, despite their problems last night. And last night was not a pretty one for them, particularly J.C. Romero and Tom Gordon. And Romero in particular had been such trouble for the Mets. Wright gets under one. Howard into foul ground. 1 away. Well, there you see the Philly bullpen, still number 1 in the National League in staff ERA. Fewest home runs allowed. And probably most importantly, fewest innings pitched.
Yeah, well, that's the key. Their starters for Philadelphia have gone further than anyone else. They have not had to use them as much as they've had in the past here in Philadelphia. I love Chad Durbin out of that bullpen. He's a guy who can go 2, 3, 4 innings for you, and he proved that on the first game here.
Beltran lines one up the middle, and he has his 2nd hit of the day. So Beltran is responsible for the only run of this game with a home run back in the 3rd. They're aggressively hitting the first pitch back up the middle. And the Mets have a 1-out base runner, their 9th hit of the game.
Just a little breaking ball on the outside part. See Carlos' head right on it, going up the middle, and that's what you have to do. When you're struggling, go right back up through the middle. Good base hit.
So now Delgado, who's 1 for 3, singled off the glove of Rollins at shortstop back in the 3rd. Kendrick went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 8 hits, walked 3, struck out 2. Allowed just the home run to Beltran and was able to work himself out of every other jam. The Mets have had base runners in every inning. They have had a runner in scoring position in every inning. Trying to get one into scoring position here in the 7th. Delgado pulls one foul.
I reiterate Jerry's words, can you steal a base when you have to? I would think this is one of those cases. I know Delgado's got the power. I know you love having that hole open. You got a hot hitter coming up, Damian Easley, but boy, why not steal in 2nd and give 2 hitters a chance to drive you in?
Beltran stole 2nd as Delgado struck out in the 5th. Then he stole 3rd. Condrey keeps an eye on him. Opposing base stealers are 3 out of 4 with Condrey on the mound. Yeah, pitch out. Phillies thinking that way.
You know, when a pitch out, this happens probably 90% of the time. The manager puts it on, and you know who screws it up? It's the pitcher. Because what will happen is they'll do something different than they usually do in the game. They'll be quick to the plate, which initially alerts the runner not to go.
Good cut by Delgado, and it's 1-2. So you think he telegraphed the pitch out?
What you want to do in a pitch out if you're a pitcher you want to give a very deliberate move to the plate, almost enticing the runner to say, boy, you know, he's going very deliberate to the plate, good time to run. Instead, when you get that quick move, it startles the runners, oh, and get a good jump. I can't go.
1-2 to Delgado. In tight with the fastball, 2-2. It's been a strange game today. We had such taut battles the last 2 nights. This one's close, but it's been played at a languid pace. Popped up, and Rollins is under it. It's the basket catch, and that's the second out. So 2 away. Beltran still at first, and Easley coming up. Damian has been aboard twice today with a single and a walk. He's also lined out to center field, 1 for 2. I didn't see. Was Rollins looking at Delgado again like he did last night?
Yeah, he was.
Last night, Delgado was kind of lingering near home plate, and Rollins on a pop-up shot him a glance to see if he ran, and Delgado then ran, and Rollins caught the pop-up. Rollins thinking he might be able to get a double play if Delgado didn't run. I didn't see him glance this time, but the basket catch made it look kind of strange. Easley with his base hit today has now hit in 8 straight games. Throw to first by Ruiz, and it goes down the line. Beltran didn't realize it at first, and so he'll have to stop at second base. Ruiz trying to throw behind Beltran, but Howard couldn't snag the throw. And Beltran takes second on the air, charged to Ruiz.
You know, it's not a bad throw, but Ryan just, you know, he just does not move very well there. Gets off the bag for the play, off about 2 inches, and then you can see his right foot skips over the bag. Doesn't allow him to get back into the play and make the play, and Ruiz is wondering, hey, bro, that was right on the bag. You got to make that catch.
Well, you have to also know who your teammates are.
And also know the situation. The situation is you've got Damon Easley, who's a doubles kind of hitter. Yes, he can pop one out occasionally. And you got a guy in first base. Now you put him in scoring position.
So the Mets, for the 7th straight inning, have a runner in scoring position. 1-1 to Easley. And a fastball well placed on the inside corner, 1-2. Marlon Anderson hitting 7th in the order, waiting on deck. There is a left-hander up in the Phillies bullpen. Another sellout crowd in Philadelphia, 45,203. Their 12th straight sellout. 1-2. Chopped on the ground for Utley. Comes in to grab it and throws out easily. And the Mets are turned aside again. 11 left on base in 7 innings. The Mets still up 1-0. Shane Victorino leads off. Has been up twice. Has hit foul pop-ups both times. Once to Reyes, once to Delgado. And he takes up and in for a strike. Lower third of the order for the Phillies. Victorino, Ruiz, and then the pitcher's spot. And Victorino lines it foul. We were talking about those fans up on Ashburn Alley. Kevin Burkhardt, you've been down among them?
Well, I was roaming around before, and I still am now, Gary, as a matter of fact. The fans were not so kind to Marlon Anderson when they dropped that ball before, but I'll give them credit because I heard about 5 different chants at him, so that they varied the chants. I can't really repeat them on the air, but yeah, that was what's going on out there. And it subsided after a couple of innings, though, so Marlon's in the clear right now.
My question is that when and if Billy Wagner warms up in this game, and you know, Billy is now on the All-Star team as a Met, what kind of reaction will those Ashburn Alley fans have for their former closer?
Sure, it'll be all roses.
Sunshine, blue sky. 1-2 now to Victorino. But you know what? Billy Wagner had the worst week of his career this year. but he has bounced back and gotten himself right back in form where he was the first 2 months when he was just about unhittable. Victorino hits it up the middle. Reyes to his left, runs it down. Quick throw, and he gets the speedy Victorino. Outstanding play by Jose Reyes for the first out.
What a play. Up the middle, throwing off balance, getting enough on it to get Victorino. Victorino running from that right side ended up being the difference in his play, but you know, athleticism like that, you cannot teach that. That is innate. Great play.
A spectacular play by Reyes, helping out Oliver Perez here in the 7th inning. Now Carlos Ruiz, who has one of the 4 hits for the Phillies today. And he takes a slider for a strike.
Look at that throw across his body. Now going back like a defensive back. And the fist pump like Tiger Woods.
Actually, he looked like a guy who just hit a 3-pointer going back on defense.
There you go. Good call.
Ball back, baby. That was truly outstanding. And the body control in midair and still putting that ball right on the money, right into the chest of Delgado. 1-1 to Ruiz. And that's on the corner for a strike. And Perez gets ahead 1-2. Well, it's been another spotless performance for Oliver Perez. He had to work through troubles in the first 3 innings. But he's kept the Phillies off the board as Chris Coast has come out on deck to pinch hit. Only 2 walks today, 4 singles against Perez.
Well, we saw Dan Worth in there. Oliver Perez has gone from that grand, large tome of knowledge from Rick Peterson and now has the Cliff Notes with Dan Worthen, who has simplified it a little for Mr. Perez.
Well, Ollie said after his start against the Yankees last Sunday that was the real Ollie. And he's proving it to be true today. He picks up his 6th strikeout as he fans Ruiz, 2 men down in the 7th.
This one, the bottom just drops out of this slider. Stays outside, goes straight down. And Ruiz, such a tough pitch, can't even keep both hands on the bat.
So Perez strikes out 1 Philly catcher. Now he'll take on the other as Chris Coast bats for Clay Condrey. J.C. Romero, whom the Mets beat last night, is up in the Philly bullpen. Getting a little darker.
Yeah.
Did you notice?
Well, that's how it's been the first 2 games. Why change anything?
Chris Coast takes a strike. Lights are on. Some dark sky off to our right. We had that phantom rain delay last night.
That was ridiculous. There's the pitch count. 30 more strikes than balls for Ollie.
And of late, he's been pounding the strike zone.
And you know what I like, though? This is so important. This out is very important. Seriously, well, he's got 2 outs. It's a big deal. Getting Post out, who's pulled off the bench, before you start to turn that lineup over with Worth and Utley and Howard, etc.
This will be his 110th pitch of the day. 0-2 to Coast. Lifted to left center field. Back goes Beltran. He's got room in the deepest part of the park. Inning over. 1-2-3 inning for Oliver Perez. 7 in the books in Philly. 1-0 New York. Tatis got 1 at bat last night and doubled in the 9th inning. Juaner Sanchez gets up in the Mets bullpen. And Romero starts off Tatis with a fastball out of the strike zone, ball 1. Fernando hitting at 267.
See Howard Johnson shouting instructions. Brian Schneider.
It's a foul off the right side.
You know, that's the thing that always fascinates me is that when you become a manager, and he already had the relationship, Jerry Manuel, with Howard Johnson, but you also want to get him on the same page that you think the offense should be on. And I also think that that relationship with Dan Worthen, how he and Dan work together with this pitching staff to give the philosophy that comes down from Jerry.
Swing and a miss by Tatis up the changeup, 1-2. It is raining on the right side of the ballpark. It is not raining on the left side of the ballpark.
You want to switch chairs?
We're undercover,
okay.
fortunately. But the people in the lower right first base stands are putting up umbrellas. I think it's now moving over to the left. Very odd, because it's very dark skies off to our right and very light off to the left. Those third base stands, they're all calm. First base stands are scrambling. There's that dark sky off the right side. 1-2 to Tatis. Breaking ball hit on the ground. Rollins shading to his left. And a close play at first as Tatis, running hard, is out by a stride, one away. Be there Tuesday night to celebrate the Jets' return to Shea. The Mets kick off a 3-game series with the Giants at 7:10 p.m. Get to Mets.com now for your tickets. 1 out and nobody on in the 8th inning. Brian Schneider singled, walked, and lined out 1 for 2. And Romero throws him a breaking ball that misses, ball 1. Last night, Romero came on with the Phillies holding a 4-3 lead in the 8th as Argenis Reyes has come out on deck to pinch hit for Perez. He gave up base hits to Easley and Delgado that set the stage for the Mets' comeback. 2-0 now to Schneider. But Romero is a guy who, from the day the Phillies got him last year when the Red Sox let him go, the Mets have had all sorts of problems with him. Up and down the lineup. Schneider pounds one into the ground. Utley comes in to grab it. And there are 2 out.
Yeah, they were having trouble with just finding some kind of left-hander. They had guys like Real Cormier in that position. Romero has solidified that spot as they change now with 2 outs. Chris Aguila coming up. Got a little more pop with 2 outs.
Aguila, a guy who hit 17 home runs in AAA this year, so you're going to take one swing of the bat in this spot. Might as well be that guy rather than Argenis Reyes, who's much more of a slap hitter. Juaner Sanchez getting ready to pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Mets.
He was talking to Chris today before the game. He has a lot of relatives that live in Hawaii. I said, did you grow up there? And he said, no, I grew up in Reno, which is like the 9th island. Is that right? He said there's just so many transplanted Hawaiians that live not only in Vegas, but in Reno and Nevada that work for the casino industry.
Aguila started the first 2 games of this series in left field. Went 1 for 3 last night. And he takes a strike from Romero. Jose Reyes waiting on deck. And Aguila takes high, 1-1. J.C. Romero, the 3rd Philly pitcher of the day. Val Kendrick went the first 6. Clay Condrey pitched the 7th. Mets had runners in scoring position in each of the first 7 innings. But now Romero threatening to set the Mets down 1-2-3 here in the 8th. Two-1 to Aguila, and he misses outside, ball 3. The only run of this game coming in the 3rd on Carlos Beltran's 13th home run of the year. Now the rain falling a little harder and steadier. 3-1 to Aguila, and he lunges for it and grounds it foul. We've seen that from Chris so far, just trying to yank that outside pitch. Dale Scott, the crew chief, watching the rain fall and not reacting.
You know, he was talking to Marlon Anderson on the bench when he was playing last night against Jamie Moyer, and he made that out on that 2-0 pitch from Moyer. Anderson went up to him and said, listen, 2-0, he's still not going to challenge you. It doesn't matter what the count is.
Ball 4, and Aguila's on with a 2-out walk. So the Mets have a base runner with Reyes coming up. You know, we played in the rain for about 2 hours on Friday night. Last night it rained about a drop, and they stopped the game in the 9th inning. So you think the umpires might be a little gun shy to stop the game today?
I think so. Well, these fields are just These new fields especially just drain so well.
Reyes has a single and a double today. He's stolen a base, and he takes up an away ball one. Reyes with his 2 hits today now has 108 hits for the season. And he takes a strike on the inside.
See Jose trying to wipe the bill of his cap there to keep the rain from coming down as Endy waits his turn.
Reyes with 2 hits and 4 career at-bats against J.C. Romero, and Aguila gets picked off. Wow. Wasn't going anywhere, just caught flat-footed. And Romero picks off Aguila to end the inning.
Well, we talked about that Jerry Manuel wants to have roles in this bullpen, and I think you here at home and watching the Mets in the last 2 weeks, you're starting to see how those roles play out. Anytime the Mets have a lead, Sanchez is going to be in there in the 8th. Hopefully hold it to present the ball to Wagner in the 9th.
Top of the batting order for the Phillies in the bottom of the 8th. With the rain falling, the Mets leading 1-0. Jason Worth 0 for 1 and 2 walks in the game today. The only 2 walks that Oliver Perez allowed in his 7 innings of work. Perez was terrific for the 2nd straight start. And a call strike to Worth, 0-1. Perez threw 110 pitches over 7 innings, allowed no runs and 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 6, threw a wild pitch, and leaves a 1-0 lead for Duaner Sanchez. And Worth takes a strike, 0-2.
I never understood the intricacies of the umbrella at the ball game. I mean, if you're behind the umbrella, it's for a tough last 2 innings.
You're in favor of the poncho.
Yes.
0-2. Worth reaches for it, pops it up in foul ground. Delgado getting over, and he makes the grab. That's the first down in the bottom of the 8th. So 1 away, and Chase Utley will come to bat. Utley 0 for 3 today and just 1 for 10 in this series. Sanchez faced him last night. And got Utley to hit a little dribbler that Sanchez made a nice play on, and Carlos Delgado made a better play on to scoop the ball at first base, and a ball thrown right at Utley's feet. Utley takes a strike on the inside edge, and Sanchez has thrown nothing but strikes. Let's see what Utley's done against Sanchez in his career.
You see Sanchez with a changeup grip. He'll then go to his glove and remain that grip or change it, depending on what pitch he wants to throw.
And Utley bounces one to the right of the mound. Sanchez bobbles, drops, Utley safe. Looked like he had it after the initial bobble, but he couldn't grab the handle. And Utley's safe on the air.
Well, Victorino got on with a bunt in last night's game in that same area, but this time a little easier play and a little relaxing there by Sanchez allows the base runner. You got to be real secure. You have plenty of time, 2 hands and a shovel. Instead loses the play.
Well, especially with that ball coming off the wet grass the way it did. So now the tying run is at first with 1 out, and Jimmy Rollins the batter. Rollins 1 for 3 in this game, 1 for 11 in the series. Ball 1 to Rollins. Rollins sitting 3rd in the order. Ryan Howard on deck. And it's taken high, and now Sanchez behind 2-0. Remember on Friday night, Sanchez struck out the first 2 batters to face him, but then gave up the double to Phillies and the game-winning hit to Victorino. Here, his error has put the tying run on base, and now he's behind on Rollins, 2-0. Ball 3. And you wonder whether Warner's a little unnerved by his error.
Well, he doesn't ever act like he's unnerved, but you definitely are when you know it should be 2 outs. You should be facing Rollins with no one on. Now you're in the heat of it. You're behind Rollins and Howard looming.
There goes Utley on 3-0. It's a call strike to Rollins, and Utley steals second base standing up. And that moves the tying run into scoring position.
Well, that's just a play where it's 3-0. It's a good pitch to run by Utley because he knows that the pitcher is not spending any time on him because he's just concentrating on throwing a strike.
So now the Phillies a base hit away from tying it. 3-1 to Rollins. Foul back. Game with a fastball. And Rollins he's just not on top of his game right now.
Well, we've seen it too many times in the recent past that at the money times, late in the games, these Phillies have ripped the Mets' hearts out.
Feliciano staying ready for Howard if need be. 3-2 to Rollins. Change-up popped up. Foul out of play. Still 3-2. Sanchez working for the 3rd straight day. He was behind Rollins 3-0. He's worked it back full. Ball 4. Well, just as Pedro Feliciano was throwing in his warm-up pitches, the rain got a whole lot harder. And finally, Dale Scott, the crew chief, motioned for the grounds crew to put the cover on the field.
Action resumes in the bottom of the 8th.
So here's Howard, who's gone 1 for 3 tonight. He struck out twice and then hit a bullet single to right against Oliver Perez in the 6th inning. The Phillies have had just 4 hits in this game. Utley got aboard on an error by Duaner Sanchez, stole second. Rollins walked, and now, after the rain delay, Feliciano to Howard. First pitch, fastball in for a call strike, 0-1. 2 hours and 50 minutes of rain delay. Pat Burrell waiting on deck. This will undoubtedly be Feliciano's only batter, with Aaron Heilman getting ready for Burrell. 0-1 on the outside corner, a strike, and Feliciano with 2 fastballs gets ahead on Howard. 0-2.
It's funny. It's almost like Howard wasn't ready for this as he took that first ball right down the middle. That ball's right on the corner, disagreeing with both calls by home plate umpire Bill Hahn.
Now try and get him chase a slider, you would think, on 0-2. And he does, and he struck him out. 3 pitches by Feliciano, and he fans Ryan Howard for a huge second out. That'll be the beginning and end of Feliciano's work. He waited nearly 3 hours for it. It was worth the wait.
Boy, he was ready for it. You're right. As he fastball down the middle, fastball away, and slider. Great job, I'm sure, being told by Jerry Manuel.
We now move ahead in the inning.
Burrell was back in the on-deck circle looking for a better grip. The runners get set to take off. 3-2. And he walked it. Change up on 3-2. And now the bases are loaded. So Heilman got ahead 1-2 on Burrell, but lost him. And now Burrell is going to leave for a pinch runner. Scott Schoenweis looking on for the bullpen, but it's hard to see a scenario where he comes in this game. Meanwhile, Jeff Jenkins is running for Burrell at first base as Pedro Feliz gets set to step in. Utley at third, Rollins at second, and Jenkins the pinch runner at first. Feliz today is 0 for 3. Bases loaded, 2 down. Game on the line in the 8th. Heilmann misses badly. 1-0.
Trying to get ahead with that slider, not even close. Met fans wishing and hoping.
One to Phillies. Fastball call strike. 1-1. Phillies 2 for 8 in his career against Heilmann. Jerry Manuel got the matchup he wanted. Feliciano struck out Howard after the rain delay, but Heilmann walked Burrell. 1-1 to Phillies. 2-1. Phillies 1 for 10 in this series, but he was a hot hitter before the series began. 2-1.
Ground ball back to Heilmann. Aaron Heilmann makes the big pitch to get the Mets out of trouble in the bottom of the 8th inning. Feliciano and Heilmann combined to get 2 outs after a nearly 3-hour rain delay, and we head to the 9th in Philadelphia.
It's now the top of the 9th.
So many hours later, he gets a fresh turn at bat.
And he lines one into right field for a base hit. 3rd hit of the game for Reyes, and the Mets get the leadoff man on against Lidge in the 9th.
That is 10 hits in the game now for New York.
Well, he got behind him, had to come in with a fastball. This one jams him just a little bit, but enough for Reyes to get it over the head of Utley. And the Mets have to play for 1. If they get more, that's great, but have to play for 1 run here. He gets on top of that high fastball out of the hand of Lidge.
Reyes stole his 30th base earlier in the ball game. We'll see how the Mets play it here with Chavez coming up. Andy is 1 for 4, had a single back in the 1st inning. Phillies plays in at 3rd looking for the bunt. And Reyes back to the bag. By the way, before this broadcast ends, I've been meaning to do it all day. Happy birthday wishes to Willie Randolph, who turns 54 years of age today. I'm sure Willie's watching back in New Jersey, so happy birthday, Willie.
Well, Lidge is a very difficult pitcher to bunt off, but if you've been watching this series, and Andy has, of course, you want to get that bunt down to Ryan Howard and make him field it. Put some pressure on Ryan, who's had some trouble throwing the baseball.
A pitch out. They were thinking Reyes might be going. He was not. That standard operating procedure in these situations has been to bunt. It was under Willie. We'll see whether Jerry has the same concept.
I think it's almost really hard to hit and run off Brad Lidge. You get so many swings and misses.
There goes Reyes. The throw by Ruiz on a hop. Safe. And Reyes steals second base. Second stolen base of the game, number 31 on the year for Reyes.
Well, nice job by Andy trying to shield Carlos Ruiz. Good throw by Ruiz, but just a nice jump by Reyes, who stole a base when you need a base.
And that's what Jerry Manuel was talking about the other day. It's not about the number of bases you steal. It's can you steal that base when you need it the most. So now the Mets have that insurance run in scoring position. Now it's a bunting situation for Chavez, but it's a 2-0 count.
Yeah.
So do you want him to take a pitch here?
I would. Yeah, I don't think it's bad to take a pitch here, but he's probably going to get a fastball. It's going to probably be the easiest pitch to bunt. Andy, a good bunter. You want to get him to 3rd for David Wright.
And he sort of squared. Looked like he was more taking than bunting, and now it's 3-0.
There you go. You got one finger. That means take one. Take a pitch.
Didn't exactly hide that sign, did he?
The signs are much easier under Jerry.
There wasn't much stealth involved in that. 3-0 to Chavez, and he takes a strike. 3-1. Mets have 10 hits in this game. They left 11 runners on base in the first 7 innings. The only run came on a home run by Beltran. 1-0 New York in the 9th. Brad Lidge named to the All-Star team today. And Chavez bunts. A beauty. Howard makes the flip to Utley. Sacrifice moves Reyes over to 3rd.
We now move ahead in the inning.
Beltran just 1 for 7 in his career against Brad Lidge. Reyes at third and 2 down.
And Beltran lines one into right field, and that brings Reyes home with the insurance run. The third hit of the day for Carlos Beltran, and he drives in the second run of the game, and he has had both of them. Huge hit for Beltran, and it's 2-0 New York.
Well, we talked about the method to his madness. Beltran being very patient in this series, but not today. Jumping on that first pitch fastball, and just a line drive to right field to give the Mets a little insurance.
So the Mets get a big 2-out hit from Beltran to pick up right.
We now fast forward to the bottom of the ninth.
Staying with the fastball on 1 and 2. Line into center field, a base hit for Victorino. And the Phillies will get the tying run to the plate in the bottom of the ninth.
We now move ahead in the inning.
2-2. On the outside corner, strike 3 called. Bruntlett down looking at the fastball. 2 down in the ninth.
I'll tell you, the Philadelphia hitters have not liked Bill Hahn's strike zone all day. Splits the body of Brian Schneider. That ball definitely has enough height. I think Bruntlett thought that was low.
So now the Phillies are down to their final out. Jason Worth, though, coming to the plate. Worth has walked twice today, 0 for 2. Worth has 11 home runs this season, and he has a hit in his only career at bat against Billy Wagner. 2 down, last of the ninth. And Worth takes a slider low and in, ball 1.
That's the case. Would have been nice to know that statistic on Mr. Worth, who does not swing at first pitches.
Swings at the first one 7.9%, the lowest figure in the National League by far. Swing and a miss. He was ready on that fastball and took a big hack, 1-1. ESPN.com is reporting CC Sabathia has been traded to the Brewers. Wow. For prospects. A big move by Milwaukee if it pans out. 1-1 to Worth. Foul back. And now the Phillies are down to their final strike.
Victorino runs. Worth cracks one to deep left center field. Beltran looks up, and it's out of here. The Phillies tie the game. A 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run homer by Jason Worth in the bottom of the ninth, and the Phillies have tied the game at 2.
That says it all right there. Whoa.
A sharp blow to the solar plexus for Billy Wagner and the Mets. Jason Worth with his 12th home run of the year, and we're back even. Now Chase Utley with 2 out and nobody on, and Utley drives one foul. He was so ready, he turned that ball around almost backwards.
Well, all the hard work to no avail. One hanging slider to Jason Worth. Long home run over that 387 sign, and
Victorino 2 hits and 5 career at bats against Scott Schoenweiss. The Phillies now have 8 hits. The Mets have 12. To Victorino. Ground ball toward the hole, base hit, and that moves the winning run to second base. And think what might have happened had Phillies tried to stretch that single into a double.
So now the Phillies with back-to-back two-out hits, and another right-hand hitter, Carlos Ruiz, on his way to the plate.
We now move ahead in the inning.
Facing the sidearm offerings of Joe Smith.
And Ruiz grounds one down to David Wright. He runs to the bag, beats Phillies there, and we head to the 11th inning. So Smith comes on, gets one king-sized out. And now to the 11th we go with the top of the batting order. Reyes, Chavez, and Wright coming up, still tied at 2. So it may be Durbin for the duration. 3-2 to Delgado. And he walked him. And the Mets get the leadoff man on in the 12th inning. Join us back here on the CW11 this Friday as the Mets battle it out with the Colorado Rockies. Catch all the action live from Shea in the CW11's amazing HD quality. Don't miss an inning when the Mets take on the Rockies Friday at 7 right here on the CW11. So Delgado aboard, and let's see if Damian Easley is asked to bunt him over. The way Easley's been swinging the bat, that's certainly not a cinch. Damian 1 for 4 and a walk, and he does square and lays down the bunt. A beauty. Ruiz out to get it. 2-4 on the sacrifice, and that moves that lead run to second base. And is there anything Damian Easley's not doing perfectly right now?
Just perfect form. Reaches out, bunts that off the end of the bat, so it deadens that ball and makes the catcher field it. You know, the key for bunting is you want to make sure that you get your knees down. Look at that right knee. It's almost touching the ground. Instead of reaching with the bat down, you lower your body so that it makes it easier to see the ball. The ball is right at your eye level.
So here's Fernando Tatis up for the 3rd time. Tatis already has a 12th inning game-winning hit this year. And we get a 2-run double to win a 12-inning game at Shea. Trying to pick up Delgado from second base with 1 out. And Durbin falls behind Tatis 2-0. You got the left-hand hitting Brian Schneider waiting on deck, and Schneider has really swung the bat well tonight.
A couple of hits, but also his outs were line drives.
The Mets have 13 hits in this game. They could use 1 more right now. Durbin behind on Tatis 2-0. And a letter high strike, 2-1.
Boy, that was an interesting pitch to take there for Tatis. Fastball right down the middle.
What would you estimate the crowd at right now? 1,500?
So I was going to say 1,750. Can you imagine?
That's good.
It sounds like we're on The Price is Right.
45,203 a sellout when we began. More than 7 hours ago. 2-1 to Tatis. Hit foul. Another fastball to hit there, and it's 2-2. Mets have left 14 runners on base tonight. 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. The Phillies 12 left on base. 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Each team has hit a home run in this game. 2-2 in the 12th. And Tatis launches one to deep left center field. Back goes Worth near the wall, and it's out of here! Fernando Tatis with a 2-run homer gives the Mets the lead in the top of the 12th. It's 4-2 New York. Second home run for Fernando Tatis. He is a 12th inning wonder again.
Well, a lot of time in these games, it's the ones that stay mentally tough. And you know he's going to be mentally tough. We've talked about it many times before. He's just so into this second chance. Hojo with the high 5. Reyes with 3. Big hit for Fernando.
So the Mets grab a 2-run lead in the 12th inning. Here's Brian Schneider, and he takes a strike.
Tried that little cutter inside and just launched by Tatis. Jason Worth, when he was going after it, I thought he thought it was still in the ballpark, but very similar to his own home run that tied the game, just about the same spot.
It's only the second home run that Chad Durbin has given up this year. He was so dominant the other night.
Well, the one strikeout pitch that he has against the left-handers is that backdoor slider. You see Tony Armour still getting loose. He's been throwing for about 45 minutes.
Like warming up for a start. 2-2 to Rollins. Hit hard down to third, off the dirt and into left field past the diving David Wright. And Rollins is aboard to start the bottom of the 12th. That means Ryan Howard will stride to the plate as the tying run.
We now move ahead in the inning.
There goes Rollins. The pitch inside. No throw by Schneider. Boy, that's a gutsy move by Jimmy Rollins to steal second base.
Well, really gutsy. Keeps them out of the double play. Good jump from Jimmy Rollins. Steal a bag when you're supposed to, and it changes the defense for the Mets, who can no longer play that exaggerated shift with Rollins on second base.
So now Wright has to head over toward third. Second stolen base of the game for Rollins. 21 for 21 this year. 2-1 to Howard. Just missed. And now Smith falls behind 3-1. And it gets a little more dicey by the moment.
Oh, this is tough. The key for Joe, you got to think down. All across the plate, but just stay down. Anything up, out over the middle of the plate.
Howard lifts it to left field. Playable for Tatis coming over toward the line. And Tatis squeezes it for the first out. A big first out for Joe Smith as he gets Howard to fly out.
If you raise that pitch 6 inches higher, that's his home run pitch. He kept it down around the knees. See that pitch? He has to reach for it just enough. Cannot get that power behind it. And the catch by Tatis. See that ball? That is knee high. You raise it up around the mask of Schneider, and that is where his power is.
Now Jeff Jenkins comes up for the second time. He struck out in his only at bat in the 10th. That was against the left-hander Schoenweiss. Now facing the side-arming right-hander Joe Smith. Tying run at the plate. And Jenkins takes on the inside corner of strike. Jenkins with 6 home runs this year. At one time one of the more feared power hitters in the game. Now a utility man slash platoon player for the Phillies. Rollins at second with 1 out. 4-2 New York, bottom of the 12th. The outfield playing deep, no doubles. Ground ball over the mound. Reyes to his left, runs it down. Quick toss, got him. Big play by Reyes coming to the other side of second base and throwing out Jenkins for the second out as Rollins moves to third.
That is 2 big plays in this game by Jose Reyes, being able to get on the other side of second base, making the catch, an off-balance throw with something on it.
Not as high a degree of difficulty as the one against Victorino in the 7th because of the speed difference, but a huge play in this game.
And that ball stayed down instead of coming up. That's what made it difficult.
So now the Phillies are down to their final out. Pedro Feliz, the tying run at the plate. Feliz 1 for 5 on the day. And he takes a strike from Smith, 0-1. Joe Smith has gone 2 innings in relief. He's looking for that one more out. 0-1 to Feliz. Swing and a miss at the slider. And now the Phillies are down to their final strike.
Well, nice pitch. See that double clutch by Feliz. Now this 0-2 pitch, he's going to go with the slider. It's got to start in the middle of the plate and end up about 6-8 inches outside.
And it doesn't matter if he bounces it either. The 0-2.
Good.
1-2 to Feliz, because even if you throw a wild pitch here, it doesn't change the situation, even if Rollins scores. You've got the tying run at the plate here in the bottom of the 12th. Phillies were down to their final strike in the 9th when Worth homered. They're down to their final strike again. Off the plate. 2-2 now to Feliz. The pitcher's spot is due up next. So Taguchi, the last man on the Phillies bench, has come out on deck to pinch hit if Feliz keeps the game going. Two. Just missed. And a full count after Joe got ahead 2 strikes. He hasn't gotten Feliz to pull the trigger away. Now it's 3-2. Little tapper up along the line. Joe with the bare hand, and he got
him, and the ball game is over. Terrific defensive play by Joe Smith to end it after more than 7 hours. The Mets with a huge victory on the strength of Fernando Tatis' 2-run homer in the 12th and 2 1/3 gutty innings of relief by Joe Smith. The Mets have taken 2 out of 3 in this series and pulled within 3.5 of the Phillies.
Well, good sinker down and in, and Smith very quick. Makes that nice play, getting to the ball, and throwing sidearm is easy for him as he makes that accurate throw. And what a big game for these Metropolitans.